Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is child abuse and neglect, and we're fortunate to have with us to talk about child abuse and neglect, Alana McLaughlin. And of course, Alana has been with us on a number of occasions, and I don't think that she will really need an introduction to many of our audience this morning, but nevertheless, let us have you, Alana, to give our audience some information about your background, your education, and some of your experiences, and then we'll talk about the topic child neglect and abuse, and have you to again tell us some of the things that you feel in reference to these topics. Let's start off with your background and some of that information.
Well, my parents are McLaughlin and Cheryl Haney. And my grandparents are Mildred J. Haney and Dr. James Haney. The first school I ever went to was Napier Elementary, where I had teacher Mr. Downey for pre-K. The second school I went to was Alex Green, and for kindergarten I had Mrs. Harfield, and for first grade I had Miss Jennifer Berry. For second grade I went to Glenham's Option Elementary. For third grade, I had Wendy Anderson. Now I'm currently in fourth grade, and my teacher's name is Caitlin Astrew at Robert Churchill Magnet Museum Elementary.
And so you've been to a number of schools in your young career, and what were some of the activities that you became involved in while you were at these schools?
Well, at Glen, I was in a tutoring class where I tutored some of 5 students, where we learned social studies, science, math, and reading, while also doing extracurricular to higher our grades, doing some of those activities such as going and writing essays on what we did over the summer, or doing it about certain, like doing autobiographies about people and things like that. So that's kind of what I've been doing. And also at Alice Green, I usually help students, as in help them with their work, and I just, go around helping them, like being the nice friend I am.
Mm-hmm. And so you've been really involved in some kind of activity looking toward learning and education in all of your grades. And we need, I think, to remind our audience that you are now 9 years old. When we first started to talk with you, you were 8 years old, and so now you are 1 year older, and now you're in the 4th grade. What are some of the things that you believe to be important about children your age when they get to be in the 4th grade?
Well, 4th grade is really when you start to develop your own mind, when you start to question things. And it's kind of the center of elementary school. You're the big kid now, so you have to show the little kids what you're doing. You have to be a role model and a mentor for them, because they don't know that hitting is a bad thing. So you have to show them that if you don't hit, they will be like you, because if you're in 4th grade, you have little kids, if you have little brothers in 1st grade, 2nd grade, and kindergarten and pre-K, they will be like you and stop doing all the hatred and things like that in our schools.
And so in a real sense, you're telling us, Alana, as we make preparations to get into the topic today, child neglect and abuse, you're telling us that you're very, very sensitive to this whole issue of child abuse and neglect, and that you've worked with a number of young children in a real sense. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to talk to you, because we wanted you to sort of serve as an example to what young children can do in reference to that.
Well, child abuse is basically it's neglect, and it's not taking care of your child or a caregiver taking care of whom they are taking care of. It's basically holding the baby in the wrong way, or doing the simplest things can get your baby taken away. I would also like to talk about the Charles Lindbergh case. In 1932, Charles Lindbergh Jr., he was 18 months, and he went missing, only to over 2 months later, they found him, for he was shot a mile away from their home by who was found to be guilty, Bruno Hauptmann. Now, Bruno was found guilty and he was sentenced to death, and he was 39 when he died.
Okay, and Alana, let's stop here with that information in reference to that case, and have our first commercial break. And when we come back, we'll have you to deal with some other aspects of child neglect and child abuse, recognizing that this is one of the classic examples of child abuse and neglect. And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.